Daisy accepted the hand that was offered to her and was pulled up to a standing position. Looking at Alex, she waited for him to continue the lesson, giving the nod to reassure him she was really fine to continue. But he seemed to be stuck in a glaring contest with B. Observing this exchange, what impressed her the most was that B seemed actually to be winning. The girl, whom she assumed must have gnomish blood, if not a full-blooded gnome, was somehow getting Alex to back down. With a deep sigh, Alex gave a shrug. "Fine, Miss Blackgate. You win, and I am the personification of all that is wrong with this world. Now, can we get on with the second lesson?" The class all shared a glance before nodding at him. With that affirmation, Alex slapped his hands together. "Okay, so we will be going to the middle plateau," he announced as he slapped his chest. Revealing his ruined clothing and bedraggled appearance was a shimmer illusion. Middle plateau, sir?" Klein repeated, already shaking. "Yes. Why do you think I allotted for a 6th-period lesson? So we can go on adventures in the city's various plateaus and have some fun without people wondering why you guys aren't in school." "What could we possibly learn from such places?" Maxwell asked, pushing his glasses up his nose despite them not even slipping. "Many things I may have taught myself the basics of magic, but you'd be amazed what skills can be transferred from normal life. Like one of my attacks that actually got me noticed by the old fart was developed when I did a few jobs for a butcher and learnt about the structures of organs. Interesting. My people do often say wisdom can be found in the most unlikeliest of places." Tasha nodded in approval. "So feel free to get changed into casual stuff, or we can go in uniforms as is. Either way is cool with me." "Where exactly are we going, sir?" Daisy asked. "A tavern where bards of great renown do battle without restraint." The students all paused in thought, trying to imagine what the weakest school of magic fighting would be like. But none of them could even fathom what the famous support mages could do. The class all huddled to discuss and finally came to a decision. "We shall take you up on the offer to change," Maxwell declared, to which all the others nodded. "Very well. I shall meet you at the front gates. Don't worry about being too long. 6th period is in that magical space of school time as any lesson after school. If I was cruel, I could even make it last till 10 minutes before the start of next week's 1st period." The class shuddered at the prospect of a weekend-long lesson, some with anticipation and joy and others with dread. They gathered at the main gate after about half an hour of getting ready. There, leaning casually, was Alex, who hadn't changed out of his usual robe. "We are ready, sir." Daisy stepped up to him. "Joy, first let me get a good look at all of you." He gave a smile as he walked around each student, giving them a pat on the back when he gave words of approval. "Great, though, Gunter. You don't need to bring so many knives," Alex said, turning to the wall of muscle who began to look bashful. "You brought weapons?" Tasha asked. "Yes, middle and lower plateaus can be dangerous at night. Thought it best to be prepared to defend myself." "Well, that is ridiculous. We have The man himself cut off Daisy's words. "Good idea. I'm not going to keep you guys safe unless it truly isn't something you can't handle." Daisy and Maxwell, who had both been so self-assured mere moments ago, both paled. They had assumed Alex would act as a bodyguard, much like he did for his kindergarten class, but him saying he wouldn't made them reassess their plans. "Come on, guys. Lockstep 1-2. 1-2, Alex ordered as he began marching like he was on a parade ground out the gate. Awkwardly following him at a generous but not too far distance, they kept pace. Though they walked normally, Daisy couldn't help but wonder how he could deal with all the weird stares he got for walking with his goose-step march. Weaving through the upper plateau, it was what they all knew well. It was the most affluent part of Academy City. Order was well maintained, and guards frequented the areas on patrol. Why aren't the guards stopping him?" Klein stuttered to the group. "Maybe they know him?" B offered. "Must be. Anyone else who did that would be taken to a very friendly hospital by the guards," Tasha added. "I'm starting to wonder if I have shackled myself to this fool for nothing more than a better grade," Maxwell muttered with his own addition. "That's a point." Daisy began getting the gang's attention. "Why did you guys stay? I know Maxwell and I are honor students, so we did this as an optional. Maxwell just said he wanted a better than mere passing." The group all had contemplative looks on their faces. As they all looked unsure, Daisy decided to break the thin ice with her reason. Well, I myself wanted to learn from someone with such an over-the-top reputation. I was sure he could teach me a lot. And has it paid off? Maxwell asked with a smug grin, no doubt referencing her losing consciousness. Yes, I realized I was letting my ego push me. You overcame such a flaw so quickly? Maxwell pressed with a scoff. Oh, no. I have no doubt I will fall prey to it many times. But you know, first step to problems and all. Well, I had no choice, but I wanted to get more confidence, someone like him. Klein gestured to the man, ignoring the laughing around him. Must have a trick or two I can learn. Well, for me, it's because my uncle told me stories about him. You think his academy stories are mad. I heard he and his sister were legends in the guild. Many suspected they were trying to die in a blaze of glory like some of the Nordic tribesmen tend to do. The group continued as they began to ponder this new information. So you wanted to see if the stories were true? Daisy asked, to which B nodded. Kinda more I want to see someone my uncle said was crazy, like my family specializes in demonological magics. We tend to be a bit mad ourselves. So when one of our number calls someone crazy, it really means something. Again, the group glanced at their teacher, who had stopped his goose step and was now skipping as if the market street they were now passing through was a field of flowers. He does have a way about him? Tasha nodded. Guess it's my turn, then. Well, he is engaged to my hero, Lady Alyssa. I wanted to get to know him and hopefully meet her. So you don't care about him but his missus? B asked. Lady Alyssa is the most perfect being. If I ever find he is lacking, I will personally eliminate him. Tasha began to radiate an aura that caused the hairs on the group's necks to stand on end. Last you, Gunter? Daisy asked, turning to their quiet companion. I'm straightforward. My teacher in smithing studies recommended I take his class, he answered. So you are here by option? Maxwell asked. Yes, I am okay with tests and learning, but the books are hard sometimes. My teacher, the new professor in my course, said Professor Alex is great at practical learning, so I stuck around because I want to be the best mage I can and hoped he could help. Daisy couldn't help but feel great joy at another kindred spirit, someone who was striving for better. You have fun with your little gossip? Alex asked, as they had just now noticed they had reached the gate to the Middle Plateau. I've never been to the Middle Plateau on foot before, Maxwell said, stepping forwards to glance through the gate. Nothing too bad. Just be careful of pickpockets and muggers. The area we are going to is less patrolled. We might get attacked? Klein near squeaked. Yes, and like I said, I won't step in unless it gets really hairy. Very well. Klein, you wished for confidence, right? You need to be able to take that first step, don't worry. We are here with you, Gunter said, as he gently pushed Klein in the back. Staggering forwards, Klein landed on the other side of the gate, and no horrors or ne'er-do-wells descended upon him. Following through, the rest of the group stood around him. You know he won't grow more confident if you shield him like that, Alex observed, keeping closer to the group this time than he had been on the upper plateau. Small exposure is the best method, Daisy said, shooting a glare at Alex. No deep end, then? Fair enough. We're taking the next right down the alleyway. He gestured to the turning ahead of them, where a few hooded, shady-looking figures were leaning against the wall on either side of the alleyway. You sure, sir? B asked. Sure, as I know how to count to 10 on my natural fingers, he smiled back, holding up his hands and showing off his metallic ones. Turning down the alleyway, they began to feel piercing gazes looking at them from the shadows. Okay, left ahead. Obeying his directions, the group came to an open area with a well in the middle. Behind the well was a building with a sign labeled The Biting Remark. That's the place, kiddos. Go on in. I'm right behind you. Stepping through the threshold, they came into a tavern that was far larger than it appeared from the outside. In a lower area, squared off, looked like a boxing ring. That where they duke it out, Chief? Gunter asked. It is indeed. They rotate the events to keep it fresh. Every Friday and Saturday, the fights happen. Sometimes a good old fisticuffs. There's also golem fights. Alex grinned as he mentioned the golem event. Though this week is my personal favorite, bardic battles. And what will we learn from bards, sir? Maxwell asked, uttering the word bard the way one would an insult. Simple how to cast magic. We already know how to cast magic, Daisy said, tilting her head in confusion. You know, the boring way, bards get a bad rap. Huh, get it. The group collectively cringed at Alex's bad dad-level joke. But seriously, bardic magic is one of the most versatile schools. Me and Sloth believe it to be one of the best schools. These words caused the group to pause in shock. If two top-tier mages believed that, then maybe reassessing bards was in need. Ah, there's a table. Alex gestured to a booth with a plaque nailed on the wall behind it. Shuffling into the booth, Daisy read it. Reserved for the hammer and mad metal. You sure we are allowed here, sir? Daisy asked, worried they had stolen a regular's table. Oh yeah, this is my unused table. Those are our pseudonyms. We are the ones who created the golem fights. Welcome, one and all, to tonight's battle of words, an announcer declared, his voice being amplified by an item in his hand. Tonight, as you know, is Rookie versus Titans night. Anyone who wants to participate can volunteer. The patrons around the tavern gave a cheer in response to these words. First up to get your blood pumping, we have in this corner Tom Word Soup. The announcer gestured to one corner where a bard in flamboyant feathered clothing walked out. And in this corner, we have a returning champ, the great wordsmith. The announcer paused, and even the group were on the edge of their seat in anticipation. Miss Cloxo! The crowd went wild with this announcement. The group, however, were shocked at this name. Why is the language teacher here? B asked. Easy money. School budgets don't pay teachers as well as they should. She comes here every so often to get a boost. Hell, she's the one that introduced you and me to this place. Alex explained before putting his fingers in his mouth to give a loud wolf whistle. We all know the rules, but for you first-timers, here they are. You get 3 verses to break your opponent. If they don't break, the audience decides. Other than that, no words are off limits. Begin when the beat starts. The announcer then flipped a coin, and it was clear the contestants were picking. When it was decided, the announcer handed the device he had been using to Tom. A deep beat and tune began to reverberate around the tavern as both contestants began bouncing with the tune. After a moment of thought, Tom held the device to his mouth. Yo, Cloxo. You got fingers like a warthog and a voice like a slime. You're icky as a goblin who's just thrown up his wine. Miss Cloxo, in response to these words, looked unimpressed despite the crowd oohing and awing. I don't know who you think is worse, but your lessons bore kids into a hearse, so let me give you a little help with your next verse. The crowd again cheered, but Miss Cloxo was still unresponsive. He can't talk to her like that, Maxwell angrily shouted as he tried to rise from his seat, only to be held back by Gunter. It's the point, Chief. Insult your opponent. If anything, some of these are weak. I agree. Alex nodded. You're get-up fools, no ghouls, and you're desperate as the blight-covered thing you used in bed last night. With that final verse, Tom handed the device over to Miss Cloxo. Ahem, is this thing on because I could have sworn you were gone? I'm a teacher, so let me give you a lesson right here, though I'm not sure whether or not that empty brain of yours is near. The students watching this couldn't contain their shock at her opening response. So when they hear your tune, I assure you no women swoon. I consider it a boon when your tune is through. The crowd was going wild for their teacher. Tom began to show signs of red on his cheeks and ears. The sheer amount of agony when you strike the strings is greater than the sappy, trashy tragedy you sing, so do us all a favor and stop trying to weave words because you only weave turds. With this final verse, Miss Cloxo handed the device back to the announcer. The crowd clearly were enjoying the show. So neither broke, though Tom was clearly close. But close is still not breaking. All those for Tom cheer, the announcer declared, gesturing to the bard, to which a few in the crowd cheered. Now those in favor of Miss Cloxo. A significantly larger portion of the crowd cheered. We have a clear winner. Miss Cloxo, you remain undefeated. We will now be taking a break to let the rookies apply. So that was a bardic battle? Tasha asked. Yes, a battle of words. But one of their greatest skills is being able to weave words on the fly and to do so rapidly. That is what I will have you learn. Miss Cloxo will help with this, but I expect you each to perform at least once tonight. It doesn't matter if it sucks. Get your tongue used to rapid speech, and you will cast chant spells so fast your opponents will accuse you of cheating.